Are you ready to navigate the new way to work? Forbes Books presents Dare to Care in the Workplace with Kathleen Quinn Botaw. Here's Kathleen.
Thanks for joining me once again for my conversation with Caryn Kopp from Kopp Consulting. Caryn is a best-selling author, award-winning entrepreneur, and we've been talking about how her team has been opening the right doors and helping clients grow sales for the past 20 years. Now, Caryn, you know that we at Talent Trust treat recruitment as a sales process, and we love what you do at Kopp Consulting. I'd love to talk about the team you built there. How important has culture and core values been to your success?
Well, it's everything, as you would know, being in the people business. It's everything. Our people represent our clients in the market professionally and create relationships that our clients can't create. It's everything. We have been working virtually since the beginning for 24 years. And when people were out there saying you can't have a culture if you're virtual, I completely disagree with that. We definitely have a culture. We have core values. Our first core value is figure it out, because people have to be able to figure this out. Nobody comes to us when it's easy. They come to us when it's difficult. They have to educate a market on something new. They have to unseat a sticky relationship with an incumbent. They have to get people who may not be motivated to spend their personal time making a change in their organization to get all the decision makers on board. So it's really important that our people have the highest level of professionalism. In the early years, I only hired people who I either knew personally or someone I knew them personally. But we exhausted our network too. This is what happens when businesses grow. And so then we had to go outside our sphere and be able to find people, which is not easy, as you know, because this is what you guys do all day long. So we had to figure out what is the kind of person who would be able to thrive here, who loves this job, who has a minimum of 10 years experience, but most of our people have more like 15 or 20 years experience, who has also, in many cases, been a decision maker before, who wants to work remotely. I mean, all of these things, who wants to work part-time. Who are these people? And it's interesting that although they have come from different industries and different walks of life, they have all arrived at similar conclusions about business development because they stopped doing what didn't work and they kept doing what works. And it's surprisingly very similar in how they approach business development and their philosophies.
Which is great. And, we have to pay homage to somebody on this call and on this podcast. The person who brought us together.
Jack Daly.
Yes. So, you talk about the team that you put together and that they love what they do. You have common shared values. They know how to figure it out. Well, sure. Jack Daly, who was also a guest on my podcast, he figured it out. He knew how to bring people together. He was an early mentor for me. Do you consider him an early mentor for you too, Caryn?
Not just early. It keeps going.
Keeps going. He's the gift. Yeah. Jack Daly is the gift that keeps on giving. So I think that would be really, that'd be really helpful to share kind of the wheel story and how we met. Do you mind sharing that?
Oh, I'd be happy to. So we each knew Jack separately and we didn't know each other. You may have known him through Vistage. I knew him through Entrepreneurs Organization, of which I've been a member now for 15 years. And when Jack was speaking for audiences and doing his coaching and his playbook work, there would be many people who said to him, "Hey, Jack, when I need to hire a salesperson, who do I recommend?" And he would always recommend you and Talent Trust. And when they said to him, "Hey, Jack, we need to get in the door with more prospects. Who do you recommend that we use as an outsourced option?" And Jack would say, "Talk to Caryn Kopp at Kopp Consulting about the door opener service." But he also had that for a couple of different other areas of expertise that people came to him about. So Jack decided that he was going to have all of us come to California and
Mm-hmm.
introduce each other to the others in the group and get to know each other, so that as his business grew and our businesses were growing, that we would have a center of trusted resources, which he put us together. We had a couple of days of presentations and a lot of fun. And I
Mm-hmm.
stayed in touch with, I think, everybody that I met there, and have referred business to those people and have received referrals from those people. And he put himself in the middle, and we were around the outside, and it looked like a wheel. And he had that on his
Mm-hmm.
website for a long time. So we called ourselves the Wheelies, because we were part of Billy's Wheel, and have
Mm-hmm.
stayed in touch, and the friendship that you and I have, and the
Mm-hmm.
work that we've done with our respective organizations, I truly appreciate. And it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for him.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's, that goes back to the relationships we're all trying to build when we try to work with somebody. It's that simple and it's that complicated, right? So and it's sometimes people change. They put on a mask sometimes when they get into the workplace. They think they have to show up differently. Have you ever found that?
I do. I know what you mean. It's that business persona, but I think people really appreciate authentic and embrace it now. I feel the video and the Zoom calls and things like that, people embrace it more than they ever did, especially the sick kids and the kids who want to come on video and say hello.
Mm.
And the more authentic people are, I think the better the relationship is too.
I totally agree. And there's so much to know about you, Karen. Can you share with everyone who's listening? You have a beautiful family. You come from,
Thank you.
such a wonderful background. Help them understand, you weren't always Karen Kopp of Kopp Consulting. Obviously, that happened in the bathroom, but, before the bathroom,
I hope people listen from the beginning to this podcast, because otherwise that reference is really not going to make any sense.
Sure, well, it's just a little fun. But what when you started out in life, share with them your path.
My path. Well, I grew up in a family. I was two kids and two parents and a dog. And my father was in business for himself. He was an entrepreneur. And I always said I wanted a different path. He was an entrepreneur, and he was in sales. And every single road led me here, Kathleen. Every single road, even though I wanted to do something different, it all led me here. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm in sales.
What did you want to do that was different?
Anything. I just wanted a different path, and
Okay.
it all led me here. In college, when I was getting ready to graduate and I was going on interviews, I had decided I wanted to work in PR and live in New York. But once I found out how much PR paid, I couldn't live in New York. I was going to have to live in New Jersey, and I definitely didn't want to do that. So I started the interviews for what was left, because I was so geared towards PR, but that by the time I learned that lesson, the only interviews that were left at Babson, which is where I went undergrad, were sales. And that, like I said, all roads, all roads led me here. So I went into sales right out of college, and then I did that for several years, went into marketing, and then more new business development, which I really enjoyed. That was a lot of fun. And then I started the business, which was a long time ago.
Yeah, 20 we're 20 years this year. What advice do you have for those young men and women just starting out in life right now?
Well, as they're thinking about coming out of college, there's a lot of choices now having to do with hybrid remote work, the ability to just go live somewhere else and still have a great job. So identify what you want your life to be like 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. And you may not know what you want to do, but you probably know how you want to live your life,
Hmm.
and work backwards to figure out what kinds of career options are going to get you there to leave you the most options later on. And for those people who are thinking of starting a business, because a lot of times people say to me, what advice would you give to somebody who's starting a business? I say, make sure that you're selling something that people will pay for, because there are a lot of good ideas out there, but not every good idea is something that people will pay for.
Brilliant advice. Make sure you have something people will pay you for. That is. I'm going to put that in the. That's in my quotes, my pithy quotes. Yes. Make sure you're creating something that people will actually buy. That's great advice.
Yes,
How about
it's so
women?
much easier.
How about women? What advice do you have for women? Because I know, and you and I share Enterprising Women together. We both serve on the board there. How about advice for women? How can they grow in the sales arena, or what advice would you have for them?
The advice I have for women is to embrace the concept of letting people help you and asking for help. Women often really want to help women. So if you identify the people who you need to meet, who could help you most, who could change your life, reach out to them and ask them if they would be willing to share some of their experience with you. I've found women to be very giving that way and very willing to connect people, not just women, but people with other people. They're extraordinarily helpful that way. Will go out of their way. And then as you do that, don't forget to reach back to the people who are behind you and help them too, because you may be further along than someone else and be really in a position to help them for the things that they need.
Great advice. And, so many women opted out of the workforce, with the pandemic, March 2020 and shutting down the universe. And then we came out and there's a war. And then, there's, things happening in the school system that some people may not like, and some people may like, some people may not like. And I feel like poor women have been a great kind of ping pong ball of this, situation we find ourselves in. So, is sales an opportunity for some women to get back into the workforce because we need them?
Sure, it's definitely an opportunity to get back into the workforce. I mean, people can really write their tickets these days with what they want to do, because I think in a way that didn't exist before the pandemic, men, women, employers are much more open to different work situations. Our people work part time, project based, and their employees, but we've always worked that way. And I've always embraced that. Actually, we're able to get people who many employers would like to hire, but they're not hireable because they don't want full time work. So, this is the time that you can approach people you probably couldn't approach in the past with a different kind of work scenario, and they'll be much more interested in entertaining that. The only thing I really recommend is that while sales definitely is a great place for a great many people, make sure that you like it, especially if you do the door opening piece like we do. Because if you take a job that you don't love, that you don't love the parts of it that you are responsible for,
Hmm.
especially in what we do, it could be torture.
Yeah.
Torture.
Hmm. Hmm.
So make sure that you do an aspect of sales that you really enjoy. Is it account management? Is it growing a particular client relationship? Is it customer service? Is it door opening? Is it the meeting? Is it end-to-end sales? Like, what is it that you really love about sales, so that you choose the right work scenario for yourself, and then put your toe in the water and see if you like it.
Yeah, so know yourself, know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, and pick the part of the job that works for you. Is there any training you might recommend to people who might want to explore this avenue?
Well, interviewing is good, right? You can assemble a list of employers and start calling them
Hmm.
and see how you like that. I mean, not
Hmm.
everybody can sit there for 2 or 3 hours and really be in the moment with every single prospect. So that's one way to give it a shot. There are training programs and things like that that people can do, and they'll give you good ideas. There's a lot of training on my site, there are a lot of articles and videos and things like that that people can view. But in the end, they have to get on the phone and really start making the calls, writing the emails, see what people say on the first try, fifth try, 20th try, and see how you enjoy it to decide if that is a career path or a position that you would like to pursue.
That was awesome advice, because I say to people all the time, Caryn, distinguish yourself when you're trying to get a job. Make a list of the top 10 employers that you want to
Oh,
work with and pick up the phone and give them a call. Put on your nicest suit or your prettiest dress and go deliver your resume to the front office. Ask to see one of the senior people. Put yourself out there, because not a lot of people are doing it. So, it is a great place to test your sales ability, if you will, when you're trying to find a job, if you have that kind of fortitude. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your two books, The Path to Cash and Biz Dev Done Right. How does it feel being an author?
it's cathartic. It was cathartic to write the books and to be able to get down on paper that which will help people avoid some of the blind spots in the sales process that keep them from the success they deserve. That's what BizDev Done Right was all about. It is an Amazon bestseller. And in fact, I've had people read it and say to me, "Were you standing behind me over the last 2 years and saw every single mistake I made?" So we try to put in the book the what the right path is based on the situation that each person is in, so that they don't take the wrong path, which will cause them to miss opportunities or have an unnecessarily elongated sales process. This will help them to do the right things the first time, get it right, so that those people who really deserve the opportunities get them. It's not that they're going to be held back from having the opportunities because they don't understand what is the right next step in sales. So that's what BizDev Done Right is about. And the path to the cash, the words you need to bypass those darn prospect objections. This book is available on my website, and it's the top 10 objections that keep you from getting in the door, along with the answers. People know what the objections are, but what they really need are the answers to help them to get past them so that they can get the meetings anyway. So those are the two books, and it was really my pleasure to put what I know on paper so that people who need it would have access to it.
What great resources for people, as they're starting out or as they're in their career or as they're, looking for something new to do. I mean, these are, do the research, see if you love it. I mean, there's lots of people want to create revenue, and creating revenue is through the path of building great relationships. So how would people get in touch with you, Caryn, if they wanted to?
They could go to my website, which is koppconsultingusa.com, KOPP consultingusa.com. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. Caryn Kopp is CarynKopp on LinkedIn. And I'm happy to connect with anybody and answer any questions that people have. Anything I could do to make this easier for people is my pleasure.
Well, thank you for being with me, my friend, Caryn Kopp. You are amazing, and I am just grateful to have you in my life. And thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with all the people on Dare to Care in the workplace.
And I feel the same way about you. And thank you for sharing your wisdom too and making it easier for people to hire the right people.
Well, thank you. And that will do it for another episode of Dare to Care in the Workplace. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, please make sure to take a second to subscribe so you automatically get my new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you could leave a review on Apple or Spotify so more folks like yourself can discover the show. Until we meet again.
This has been Dare to Care in the Workplace. To connect with Kathleen, go to KathleenQuinnBotaw.com. Kathleen's book, Dare to Care, is available wherever books are sold. Dare to Care in the Workplace is a production of Forbes Books.